What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be checking out a new game. It's actually not a new game, but it's new for the channel. This is Proteus, as you can see. What is Proteus? Well, it is a 3D exploration game, or if you were being a little bit less generous, you might call it a walking simulator. But it has a little bit to it that I think makes it a little bit more worth looking at than some of those. So without any further ado, let us hop right in. You will notice that it is generating a world. That's one of the things about this game, is that everything in it is procedurally and randomly generated. And here we are, in the world of Proteus. You will notice that everything is very pixely, very lo-fi. But I think it's kind of charming. So getting back to what this game is, it's essentially an exploration game, or a walking simulator if you want to call it that. This is a game that came out in 2013, was developed by Twisted Tree Games, and sort of I was going to say the gimmick, but it's not really the gimmick, it's like the entire point of the game, is that not only is the world randomly and procedurally generated, but there is music that is procedurally generated as you go through the world. So basically, every object and piece of terrain, creature, such as whatever that is, a frog maybe, all of those will generate some sort of vaguely melodic sound. And combining this all together, you get some sort of synthesis of a music-like thing. Now, you're never going to create anything that's like truly like memorable and amazing. You probably wouldn't sit down and listen to this. But in the moment, as you're walking through here, it is vaguely pleasant. Pretty much the whole synthesis of the audio and the visual is what carries this game. Although, as I mentioned, I actually kind of like the aesthetic. It's very, very minimalistic and very simplistic, but I think it fits. And despite the fact that it is very lo-fi, it still has sort of, I would say, an identity of its own. You could look at this and go, ah, that's Proteus, which I think is important. The thing about a lot of games that use this sort of pixely, lo-fi art style is that they don't really have any identity of their own. It's just like, hey, we use this art style because we couldn't do anything better. Although that might kind of be the case here too, based on what I know about the development history, which is just from doing a very basic read-up on it. But still, clearly there was enough talent here that we got something that looks like its own thing. So we'll go into sort of... Wow, it got really quiet, right? Because we're not around objects. Go back to the beginning. Apparently this game started development in 2008, and what's funny is that it was originally going to be sort of an open-ended role-playing game, according to what I've read. Obviously that is not what we got. Apparently that was like that's going to take a lot of work and time and money, so it was restructured into this. I gotta say though, looking at how this world generation looks and the graphics and everything, it would be cool to see this as more of a game. Because especially once we start getting into the changing seasons and stuff, as we'll see, it starts to look actually fairly impressive. Not like fidelity-wise, but just aesthetically, in my opinion. So yeah, it was basically what happened was it was going to be like an open-world RPG. That didn't go forward. So it was restructured to be a non-traditional game, is I think how they put it. So the idea was basically put in place to, hey, why don't we have this sort of synthesis of procedurally generated terrain, or randomly generated terrain, along with procedurally generated music. And that's what we ended up with. Now, one of the criticisms that I've heard leveled at this game, and there are several that we'll get to, is that although the music sort of all coming together is vaguely pleasant, and it's kind of cool as you're walking around, because there isn't anything like really extreme in terms of the music, you never get like drums, you never get huge swells or anything. you're never really going to get that wow moment with the music, you know? Yeah, it sounds kind of cool, like sort of like a minimalistic ambient album or something, but you're never going to get it to build up to something like really impressive. Which is fine. Oh, rip. You just kind of have to be aware of it. Now, as far as I know, nothing else ever came of this game in terms of like, hey, why don't we make a sequel? Why don't we use this engine for another game? Which is a shame. Like I said, I do like the way it sort of works. And I could be wrong about that, but as far as I know, there was never anything else done with this engine. In fact, I don't even know off the top of my head if Twisted Tree Games ever made another game. And I say Twisted Tree Games, but I believe that's two dudes, essentially, the composer and the programmer. So that is basically Proteus in a nutshell. We're going to actually go ahead and do a full playthrough here. Full playthrough takes about anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less if you're hurrying, and maybe a little bit more if you're not. As I mentioned, though, we'll go through the game and go through the seasons. So this takes the form of 4 different days. Each day lasts something around 10 minutes or something like that. I don't know exactly how long it is. But as you can see, we're starting to get new stuff here. The music changes a little bit. We got fireflies, we got clouds rolling in, we got stars. And the weather and those effects are also somewhat random. I've gone through this game maybe like 4 times, maybe 5 times, and sometimes you'll get the clouds here, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll get other stuff, sometimes you won't. And sometimes these various structures that we find will be in different places or just won't even be there at all. Now, one thing that I think would make this a little bit more interesting is if we had some more complex world generation options, but we really don't. Let's go ahead and go towards the circle here. Take a look at the wind effect on those trees. I mean, it's so simple, yet it's pretty effective in my opinion. So anyways, the way that we're going to advance to the next day is by going in the circle here, and craziness. I mean, it's not really craziness, it's just colors changing and stuff, but anyways, in we go. So as you might imagine, the first season was something akin to spring, and so we're going to be moving into something akin to summer. Yes, you can tell the sun is hot. Music, of course, changes again. A little bit different now. And one thing that's kind of cool is that the palettes and the colors are also randomly generated. So when I did a previous playthrough not that long ago, I actually had completely different colors and everything. And I know it's small, like, ooh, wow, colors were different, but it does actually make the game worth replaying, I think. Got a little crab rave going on down here. Aha. Anyways, on the topic of replayability, that sort of brings us into another criticism of the game, and that is mostly the price to amount of content. What? Okay. Don't know what that was. Yeah, basically the ratio of the price to the amount of content you're getting. In my opinion, the price is a little bit steep at $10 normal. That is a hard sell for me. Granted, price is a very subjective sort of thing, because, you know, different people place different values on stuff, but maybe on sale at $5, that's just about right. That's perfect, because let's be honest, with the limited number of options, although it is entertaining to go through this a few times, you're probably not going to sit down and play through this like 10 times or, you know, play it every 6 months or something. But for $5, yeah. Sit down, have a relatively enjoyable time, and then move on, go on your merry way. Worth noting, by the way, that I believe this game also came to PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Anyway, that is how you exit the game. You hold the escape button and your eyes slowly close, you drift off to sleep, whatever. It's kind of funny, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. And though I've not played it, I've read that the Vita version has a few additional features, such as being able to somehow influence the environment by using the rear touch panel. And then also there's something along the lines of using like location data to generate the world. Not sure really how that works. Maybe it's something like a Minecraft seed. I don't really know. Haven't played it, like I said. I'm going to go through here and try and check out some of the stuff that we didn't look at before. I don't want to go to every single corner of every single island every single day, because that would make the video just a little bit too long. Got some bees. Don't worry, we're not going to get killed by the bees Nick Cage style. Squirrel. But they might drop some noisy scent lines in our ears. So I think, by this point, a little over 10 minutes into the game, you can figure out whether or not this is something you're going to be into. Definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and honestly, myself, I don't really care for these sort of, like, artsy walking simulator, not really much to the game sort of games. But this one keeps my interest. I think it doesn't outstay its welcome. There's an island over there. Maybe we'll check that out on the next day. I don't want to waste too much time here. But yeah, it holds my interest, especially when compared to a lot of the other ones. You know, it does have, like I said, its own sort of identity. Now, there is another aspect to this game that is altogether more pretentious but less interesting, I guess. And it's not necessarily the game itself. It's sort of the hype or lack thereof or anti-hype surrounding it. So it seems like, from reading up on this game, it's very much a you fall into one or two camps kind of thing. There are the people that say, this game is an amazing work of art, and I had some sort of artistic epiphany. I had a moment where I just viewed the world differently, and I wish I could forget so I could relive it and experience it for the first time again. And then there are the people that are like, this isn't a game. It has no artistic value. It's just a worthless piece of software that nobody should bother with. And the thing is, I find both of those points of view, I don't find either of those points of view to be particularly interesting. The thing is, it's video games. Oh, hello. Hello, we got one of these again. What is it? Hello? Hello, little one. Okay, that is clearly some sort of rare creature. Don't know what it is. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, I don't really find either of those points of view particularly interesting, and don't really care. The thing is, it's video games, right? It's not the most serious business, and there's no need to get so wound up over it. So for me, what Proteus is a mildly pleasant experience that you can play through a couple times. Maybe you'll get something out of it. Look at the cool world generation. Listen to the vaguely pleasant sounds and music type things. And that's it. I don't sit here and look at it as some sort of great work of art akin to the Sistine Chapel or something, but on the other hand, I don't completely discount it as, like, worthless and not a game. Because again, that's just a conversation I've never been particularly interested in. If you want to get really pretentious now, you can start calling it, well, you see, this is a virtual installation, or whatever people call it. Like, whatever. I guess that makes sense. if you want to look at this as like maybe an interactive piece of art, because it's not really an interactive movie. It's like an interactive art gallery, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, welcome to autumn, or fall, or whatever you call it. Now, having said all that, I will say there are a couple moments in the game that maybe strike me as a little bit, not necessarily pretentious, but just a little bit on the nose in terms of trying to pull out some sort of emotional response from you with, just the blocky, pixely graphics. And I think we'll see a couple examples of that as we go through here. Like I said, it plays out a little bit differently every time you go through, but I'm sure we'll see something. You see what I mean, though, in terms of the art style? Like, even just having these, red and orange colored pixels on the ground with the falling leaves, or what's supposed to be falling leaves. I mean, it actually does look pretty nice. It has its own sense of aesthetic. And then, of course, the music, as I mentioned, changes a little bit with every season. Just enough so that it's worth running around through the island again, or islands. So yeah, it's pretty nice. We're going to just keep going through it and check out what there is to be seen. And I don't really think that sitting through a single playthrough of this is a substitute for playing it, so I would say it's still worth checking out. See right here. Right, I guess we're supposed to feel vaguely sad because the dragonflies or whatever from earlier are dying, but I don't. Sorry. It's not a particularly emotional experience, but hey. Now, something that I'm not really sure if it's a positive or a negative. I guess in a way it's a positive, but in a way it's a negative. So we'll sit as middle of the road as we can, just like in the previous topic. We got some rain. I think I saw some rain. Is there anything else over here? Where was that island? I want to go check that out. Well, anyways. Yeah, so that would be the fact that certain pieces of the world may or may not appear in any given configuration. Now this on its own, yeah, there's the rain. This on its own is not necessarily a problem, but the problem arises when there aren't really that many different structures and unique things that can appear. So you end up with vast portions of the world that are just sort of empty, which makes, of course, the exploration a little bit less interesting. And this goes back to the world generation. So once you beat the game, you get the option to tweak just a few settings in the options menu related to the generation. It's very basic. It's something along the lines of, do you want more extreme things to appear? Yes, no, or maybe. And I have it on maybe. There's no sort of customization like, oh, I want more of this, less of this. Maybe I want this kind of color palette. Maybe I want less complementary colors and more like random colors to just be more just sort of jarring when you look at them. There's not really any of that. There's no like, oh, I want more extreme weather patterns. It's very, very basic. So, yeah, it could have been better. But as it stands, like I said, I think it is, worth checking out. Before we finish here, I do want to find that island and just see if there's anything on it. I think it might have been over this way. Is that just that big tree that we already looked at? I think so. Was it that way? Yeah, I think it might have been. I think it's this way. I don't know. We'll find out. You can tell that the music is amping up a little bit. Sounds a little bit more structured now. But again, not something that you would pop on the stereo once your Sepultura album finishes, you know? I think it was over here. Is that it? I think so. I'm going to be very disappointed when we get over there and there's like nothing there. Which, as we discussed, is a very real possibility. But we'll check it out. You know, another thing that could have made this more interesting is a few more animals. Or just more of them. Like if we had dolphins or something here, you know. It'd give a little bit more of an ooh-ah factor. Oh, it's not looking good, boys and girls. I don't see anything interesting on this island from here, at least. Okay, well, back we go. Got a little sort of Milky Way thing going on there. So I think you can tell at this point that I'm not really, like, over the moon about this, but I do think it's worth your time. Like, as with all the other topics on this video, kind of taking a middle-of-the-road sort of approach here. Pretty good, worth looking at, but I wouldn't go 10 out of 10 cathartic, emotional, revolutionary experience or anything. And could have been better. You know, somebody should do like... the developer should do like a director's cut, add in a bunch new terrain and generation options, make it a lot more customizable. Then it could be, you know, something pretty great. I hope you made a wish. So, we gotta find our circle again. Unfortunately, all the fireflies and stars are making it a little bit difficult to see where it is. Maybe it's over this hill. Maybe. Oh dear, are we gonna wander around for like 20 minutes? I hope not. We do have one more season to check out. See if you can guess which one it is. Ooh, look at that. It's even something like that, this like Aurora Borealis type thing. It looks nice. It's just a bunch of colored lines, but it looks nice. Oh dear, where have we gone? Oh, this is new. Wow, I've not seen this before. Oh, is it because we're near these, where the wild things are, statues are? Have I just triggered the Doomsday event? I don't know, haven't seen it before. Oh yeah, we're back to normal. Yeah, so more stuff like that, where you're looking around going, I have no idea what just happened. Oh, there it is. Into the circle we go. Alright, let's see if you were right when you guessed which the 4th season was. And it was summer again. Ha, you were wrong. No, just kidding. It's winter. Obviously, things are a little bit more muted. Stuff looks more dead-ish. And interestingly, the last playthrough of this that I did, instead of this like blue wintry color, I got this weird hazy green color, which gave it a little bit more of a horror vibe. Not that this game is like scary or even spooky or anything. I'm not going to do the whole, a wide open space with no NPCs, I'm literally going insane thing. But it was kind of cool. I mean, it looked nice. And again, made me wish that there was like a game here. Like even a first-person action game with that sort of aesthetic. You know it would be cool? There was another game that I played on the channel that I do like quite a bit, which is Eldritch or Eldricht, however you say it. Very minimalistic, sort of rogue-lite action game. You put a game like that with this sort of aesthetic and this sort of world generation, that would be pretty cool. We're not going to talk about Eldritch right now, but that is also a pretty cool game and definitely worth checking out. Much more of a game, per se, than Proteus is. Okay, the clouds are rolling in. Now, I think that the grand finale, or whatever you want to call it, also gives a little bit of ammunition to the people that say the game is trying to be more emotional and deep than it actually is. But we'll take a look at that as we get to it. For now, let us keep going and look at the things. Although, as you can see, there's not really that much to look at right now, is there? Well, we'll keep going. You see what I mean about, by the way, the game being shorter or longer depending on whether you're rushing through it or not. At a certain point during the day, you'll be able to rush back to the circle and advance the time. Oh, look at that. See, even the snow effect looks pretty nice, actually. Got some vaguely, like, music box sounding instrumentals going. It's not bad. But anyways, yeah, if you really want to speed through this, but let's be honest, if you really want to speed through this, you're probably kind of missing the point and not going to really enjoy this game anyway. So quiet all of a sudden. All right, you can tell from the sort of vague chant sounding music now and the fact that we are slowly ascending towards the heavens that things are getting slightly pretentious, at least potentially pretentious, whatever that means. Like, it just seems to me while watching this scene with the, like, ooh sort of stuff, it's like, look how deep this is, whereas, no, it's not. It's nice, but it's not deep or provocative, in my opinion. But if it is to you, hey, more power to you. As stated, I'm not here to bash or defend the game, really. I'm just here to say that, yeah, it's pretty good. Now we will see as we go towards the sky here, I've actually gotten a few different versions of this. I've gotten one where it was just like the moon. I've gotten one where we had the whole Aurora Borealis thing going on again. I've gotten one that's like clouds, so I think even that is sort of randomly generated, which again makes for a little bit more interesting of a time. Now, interestingly enough, I did check the website of twistedtreegames.com, and it was literally just a text, like 2 lines of text. It said Twisted Tree, and then under that it said back soon. So, yeah, I wouldn't hold out too much hope for a sequel or an expansion or anything like that. Now, one thing that I did not do was check the Wayback Machine to see, like, how long that's been there. But, not totally hopeful that there's ever going to be another one of these. But look at that. Isn't that, like, vaguely nice looking? I think it is. Sort of reminds me of, you know, looking down from an airplane or something. In Minecraft, I guess. And so here's the part where it's like, okay, I get it. Are you trying to make me, like, contemplate the nature of life, or what are we doing here? But it's still kind of nice, so I can't hate it. And then, as we get on, start seeing a few shooting stars. And sooner or later, we'll fade off into that sweet, gentle, eternal rest. That was your cue, game. It was time to fade off into that sweet, gentle, eternal rest. Can we, Okay. Well, I botched the timing, but you get my point. There we go. Oh, looks like a weird eyeball now. And that is Proteus. So, is it a game? Sure. If you say it's not a game, I don't care. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and check out the credits. Not a whole lot of people in the credits, but it does kind of scroll slowly, so there's that. That was Proteus. Hope you enjoyed this one. Worth checking out for yourself, like I said, but maybe more than likely on sale, because $10, yeah, probably a little bit steep. Not something very typical for me to cover, but yeah, it's just something that I like, and that's how we do it on this channel. Random things that may not be related to each other at all, but that I find mildly interesting. So give it a look, give the channel a look if you feel like it, and that's pretty much all I had to say. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the next video, and I will leave you with the credits. Till next time, everybody.